Cooper got open and caught it. Touchdown, Indiana.
Going up the middle is Omar Cooper, and he'll walk into the end zone.
Whoa, pump fake. Complete at the 47. Surratt with no one to beat. Hello and welcome to Crimson Kickoff. We got the virtual show today. It's Thanksgiving break. Happy Thanksgiving coming up, everything like that. I'm Joe Cronin, Thomas Crow, Graham Nash. We have such a jam-packed show, a lot of moving parts. We're going to be having a poll of our favorite Thanksgiving food come the end. Special guests joining, but the Indiana Hoosiers 11-0 for the first time ever. It took them 127 seasons to achieve a feat like that. They're staring down the barrel of their final regular season game, the old Oaken Bucket Trophy on the line against the Purdue Boilermakers. But guys, this team is coming off a honestly much needed bye. Guys are getting banged up. Team just needed a break. It looked a little sluggish the past couple weeks, and it's just honestly perfect timing for the last 6 straight weeks of football that was played to get some rest before the final regular season game.
Yeah, most definitely. It's something that Coach Signetti said when we were talking to him after the game in his post-game presser. He acknowledged, he was like, it's something like 6 weeks in a row playing football, playing really high quality, intense football against Big Ten opponents, a lot of traveling, went to Oregon all the way to the West Coast, had to go up to Penn State, went to the East Coast, went to Maryland. So this team was bouncing all around the country, and definitely some guys, like you said, Joe, getting banged up, need that rest, and definitely came at a good time. Got all that football. Now they get a break before a couple big games coming up.
Yeah, it's gigantic going in, playing 6, like you said, Graham, really tough games. A couple games on the road, and now a chance to get Elijah Surratt back. Obviously, Aiden Fisher's been back for a little while, but give him a week to kind of slow everything down and get fully back. And then the intention is to get Drew Evans back on the offensive line and square up some of the issues that they've had there.
Signetti talked yesterday, said Surratt starting, Kamara's starting, Drew Evans is still kind of on that day-to-day. And, I mean, having Surratt back is just huge for the offense to see what the weapons are. But before we dive into everything, we have a very special guest joining us, an alum of the Indiana football program, 6th-year center, Mike Kadick from Barstool Sports. We're going to welcome in Mike to talk for us for a little bit. Mike Kadick, welcome into Crimson Kickoff. I know you're on the road, but how are you doing?
Good. I'm fantastic. Heading back to Pittsburgh right now. I'm sorry if the audio or whatever is bad, but yeah, pumped. Boiler week, baby. Bucket week. Let's go.
Yeah, it is old Oaken Bucket Trophy on the line. You won it last year. Obviously, all the emotions around it. I mean, what is Purdue like for you?
Oh, it's the worst, man. It's the worst. Everything about that team, that university, is just makes my skin crawl. Yeah, we got it back last year. I won it, or I didn't really play in 2019 when we won it. So last year meant a lot to me. Getting the bucket from Coach Deal and celebrating with the boys, and it was amazing. And they're going up to West Lafayette this year. Disgusting place to play. Disgusting crowd. Everything about that place is gloomy. It's horrible. So, yeah, we're gonna just play our brand of football, and we'll keep the bucket.
Mike, Graham Nash here. Thanks for joining us today, man. Really, really appreciate it. Quick follow to that. Yeah. What's preparation like jumping into this week? Is there any more emphasis behind preparation for the Purdue week?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's more so for the players. Like and Coach Deal and Coach Paycheck and the coaches that have been there for a while, they kind of ramp it up that week. But for like Coach Sig and the rest of the staff, it's just another week. It's another week of preparation, the same preparation. There may be some more talks of, how the bucket came about and the history behind the bucket and what it means to alumni and things like that. But no, it's the same week of preparation, just more pride from the players.
Mike, before we got on here, we talked about bye weeks and coming off of a bye week. Can you just give a player perspective on having 6 straight, really pretty tough games, and then having a bye before you get into the rest of the season, what that bye week looks like, and just how monumental of a week it is.
Yeah, it's huge. Especially for this team, like a lot of guys are banged up and some soft tissue stuff. So just getting those guys off their feet and in the training room and getting them ready to go for the rest of the season. But from a player's perspective, it's kind of just another week to get our bodies right and get our minds right and just kind of work on our fundamentals and our techniques for the rest of the season. But it's mainly just get your bodies right and get your minds right for the rest of the remainder of the season and the postseason.
Mike, I feel like as far as fandom goes, now that you're an alum, you're one of the more diehard IU football fans. How weird was it to start the season and have to watch, from a screen or from the sidelines after so much time playing?
It was so weird. And the first game was when we were on the Barstool Beach House. So like I was drinking. It was great. I was and they who'd we play? Old Dominion. They score on the first play, so I like sit down on the couch, I crack open a beer, and they're already running down the sideline on that QB read. I'm like, what the hell is going on? and then we kind of figured it out, but shit, it's weird. All my life I've been busy on Fridays and Saturdays with high school football or Pop Warner, and then coming to college. Like I never had time to really sit back and watch my own team play. So doing that, and I'm still really close with the majority of the team. So like I can see the thought process of Pat and like who he's miking and the formation the offense is in. So like I kind of know what plays they're running. So it's cool to like follow along in that way. But it's stressful. It is stressful not being able to be out there. It's more stressful not being in the game because like in the game, I'm just level-headed. I know what my task is. I know what my coach are asking me to do. So it's easier for that, but it is stressful. So I'm drinking beers heavily, watching the games, but no, it's a blast. And it's been so much fun watching this year.
We've seen you at Memorial Stadium a bunch this season, Mike. What's that moment like when they flash you up on the big screen and you get a huge roar from the crowd?
It's one of the coolest feelings ever. And now I feel like I'm just like the take your shirt off and chug a beer guy. Because I did it against Illinois and then I did it again against UCLA. So I feel like every time they throw me up there, I got to do it. But no, it's so awesome coming back and feeling the love from the fans and the players and the coaches. Like it just means a lot, and it shows me that I did leave a pretty good legacy behind, and people appreciated what I did and what our team did. And so it's so cool coming back and seeing that environment and actually sitting in the stands and watching, from a fan perspective, like in the stands. It's super cool.
Got kind of a two-parter for you. One, how many beers can you drink while watching an IU game? And then the second part is, what's been your favorite moment? Is the Illinois blowout or the Penn State Omar Cooper catch? Because I saw a video you went nuts with all the Barstool guys.
So to answer the first question, that during the Penn State game, I probably had about 15 or 20 beers during the game. And my favorite moment, that was great, but I think just being there, my first game back against Illinois and the way we beat them night game, the stadium was packed. I think being there live for that game was unbelievable. Like that was our first like big win under Sig. Getting that and being there live with my mom and dad and being able to experience that with them, and it was incredible. So I'd probably say that, but the Omar probably close too.
Mike, last question for you, man. Thanks so much for joining us. This was actually a question that Thomas wanted to ask. He's having a bit of a technical difficulty, so I want to squeeze it in for him. If you and last year's team played this year's team in a football game, who would win? Oh no.
Oh, cutting out a little bit. Oh, must be
We're
going
doing
through a rough patch
we're
on the
doing
road
so
right
well
now.
for so long.
I know. Oh, man.
Well,
Man, what a story, though. Man,
we may never know.
we may never know. We got Thomas about to be back, too. All right, well,
All right.
we'll see if we could add Mike back, possibly.
We got Thomas
Thomas is
back.
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 A little
I'm
connection
back.
issues right off
Okay.
the riff.
Good start to the show.
Oh, yeah. You know, the technology is hard sometimes, and I think we have to deal with it. But, man, Mike Kadick, I get at this point, he's a Bloomington legend. I mean, saw through the mud of some ugly final couple of years of the Tom Allen era, 2-10, 3-9, 4-8, and then stayed for that final ride to see an 11-1 college football playoff team. But, what a guy he is. I feel like he's a Bloomington staple. We're going to segue, though. Continue talking about Purdue a little bit, just previewing final game of the season, the Boilermakers. First-year head coach Barry Odom, they've had a tough schedule, and that part of it is just, the teams they've had to play, like the Ohio States of the world this upcoming week against Indiana. But Barry Odom in his first year hasn't been able to fully kind of boost the momentum as we've seen other first-year head coaches do in the past. Just early look, what do you see from this Purdue team?
Yeah, I'll jump right in. I mean, you mentioned it, Joe, the schedule. I want to toss in there, though, that Barry Odom turned over the roster almost completely. A record 54 incoming transfers in one offseason. Trying to get all those guys to work together, that's going to be incredibly tough. But despite the 2-9 overall record, Purdue still has seen some offensive improvements, bringing in Josh Henson from USC, offensive coordinator. He's done a good job of beefing up the O-line of Purdue, and they've run the ball pretty decently, especially in the games where it's been close. Think about that Minnesota game, Rutgers game, Michigan game, all of those one score. It was close because they ran the ball well. And even against Ohio State, Purdue averaged more yards per carry than any Ohio State opponent outside of Texas in week 1. So I think they are going to be huge.
We got Mike Kadick back with connection.
Right, sorry, boys. I'm driving through some rough shit.
Oh, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah, that drive out east gets rough.
Yeah, so the question was who would win between last year's team and this year's team?
That's right.
All right. The bias in me, what makes me want to say last year's team, but I don't know. The boys are rolling so hard right now. Like they're playing such great complementary football. Like it would be hard to beat this team this year. It's just like the momentum thing. Like last year we had the momentum, and then we ran into Ohio State. Like this year, they've beaten Illinois. They went on the road to beat Oregon. They went on the road to beat Penn State. They went on the road to beat Iowa. I don't know. My heart says last year's team, but my brain says this year's team. I'll say that.
Yeah, Mike, I'll go ahead. Obviously just not playing in a game against this team, but what is the biggest difference you see in this team that maybe the team last year didn't have?
I think it's the way that not only the offense, but like the way that we can control the line of scrimmage, control the run game and the pass game, and use the run game to help the pass game and vice versa. Like I just feel like last year there were some lulls where whether it was when Curtis got hurt or something, like there was some rhythm that just wasn't quite right, and we weren't clicking on all cylinders with the offense last year. But I think this year, even with the musical chairs that the offensive line's going through, they're just playing such great ball, man. And we're able to run the ball so efficiently against great defenses. And then our defense is playing out of their minds. Isaiah Jones, Aiden Fisher, the back end, up front. I mean, some of these guys are playing out of their minds, and it would be tough to beat this team. And then the special teams is playing great. So yeah, it would be tough.
Mike, really just got one more for you. This one's very important. Thanksgiving what dish are you going for first? Or maybe last?
Oh, man. I mean, so I haven't been home for Thanksgiving in 7 years because we've always played this game. So I've missed the home cooking that my parents do. My dad makes these unbelievable stuffing balls, like these huge balls of stuffing, and he puts sausage, celery, bread. I mean, everything you could think of. Loading that with gravy, and then I do the mashed potatoes. I mix that in with the corn, turkey. I love the white meat on the turkey. Then I douse everything in gravy. That's first plate, and then maybe I have a side plate of like all the sides, like the green bean casserole. Everything, dude. I'm a dirty man for a Thanksgiving meal, bro. I tell you.
Well, Mike, thank you so much. Safe travels back home. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well.
Yeah, thank you, boys. Fuck the Boilers. Let's go Hoosiers.
Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
Have a good
Mike.
one.
Thanks,
Happy
Mike.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, Mike Koenig, there we go. That's on Crimson Kick.
You
Mike
just
Koenig.
Wow.
you don't beat a guy like that, and
No.
that's a quote that I think more of us align with than we realize, that you're just a dirty man when it comes to Thanksgiving food.
You need a banner that's a banner of Mike Koenig Thanksgiving quote. Okay, let's preview the Boiler game. Let's bring on Oliver Carr. He's been researching, dialed in on some Boiler talk. His first time joining live on Crimson Kickoff as well. That's kind of what we're doing this time around, is having a bunch of other people who have helped us out throughout the entire year get their chance to be on the show in the live setting. So Oliver, let's have you hop on here and welcome in.
Thanks, fellas.
Live in. Just when you have seen the Purdue team play so far, I mean, what's the first thing you've kind of noticed?
Well, it's hard to follow up on Mike Koenig. That was an unbelievable joining of him. But for Purdue, I think the biggest thing this year is this team has a lot more fight in them than last year. In the IU game last year at Memorial Stadium, it just felt like we just kind of rolled over them. They were essentially waiting for the season to be over. They fired their head coach. This season, and I know they haven't won any Big Ten conference games, they've been fighting a lot more. They feel a lot more physical. They're running the ball a lot better. They're stopping the run a lot better. So while I don't think that they've seen the results per se, a lot of the process to me has looked a lot better. And I've watched more Purdue football than I would normally like to, but that's definitely where we're at with them.
Oliver, this team has played. Indiana will be the 7th team they've played that at one point or another in the season has been ranked. When you have that tough of a schedule, and it's gone from two wins to start the season and then just 9 straight losses, what does it mean to have a team like Indiana come into your town? It's a rivalry week on top of, like I just said, all the losses. How fired up is this team going to be?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Kurt Cignetti said it. We know that Indiana is going to get Purdue's best shot. They've played a couple games against these top tier opponents. They had Ohio State in their building as well. They went over to Notre Dame, and they definitely have been bringing a lot different energy to those kind of games than versus your Minnesotas or your Rutgers. What they tend to do a lot more is bring a lot more gadget trick plays. We saw against Notre Dame, they had that beautiful running back pass to the quarterback, and I think we're going to see a lot of that against them. A lot more creative designs, stuff like that, as well as on defense being extremely physical.
Oliver, you mentioned the quarterback play a little bit there towards the end, talking about Ryan Brown staying at Purdue. Malachi Singleton, we've seen kind of get worked into play recently for the Boilermakers. What do you expect from the QB room of Purdue, since it's kind of been all over the place recently?
Yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of Malachi Singleton in this game. He's kind of their gadget guy. Ryan Brown is their starting quarterback for sure. But like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of trickery in this game. They're going to try and show us some stuff they haven't seen on tape. And Malachi Brown isn't afraid to throw it, or Malachi Singleton rather. He's got 5 touchdowns in the season, averages 4 completions a game. And so while it is a lot of design runs with him, I think we're going to see a lot of him mixing it up. So Ryan Brown is the focal point, but Malachi Singleton, I think, is going to get a lot of action, especially around the goal line. They like to use him a lot. They haven't been very good around the goal line. I believe they're last in the Big Ten in touchdown conversion rate around the goal line, but I expect to see a lot of Malachi Singleton in this game.
Oliver, obviously Indiana outmatches Purdue just about at every spot. I mean, obviously the number 2 team in the country versus a team with only 2 wins. But what is a weakness that you see in Purdue versus a strength that you see in Indiana that might get exploited in this matchup?
Yeah, 2 things, and 2 things that Indiana has really excelled at, and 2 things that Purdue has really fallen behind at. Indiana is first in FBS in turnover margin. Purdue is last in the Big Ten, and that's sort of been their folly. In a lot of these close games, especially like Notre Dame, they were with Notre Dame for much of the game, but they just turned the ball over a couple times. And we saw when they got really close, like really close. I was there in the building in Ann Arbor when they got really close to beating Michigan. It's because they won the turnover battle. So I feel like if Indiana isn't going to perform as well, and if they are, I think it'll come down to turnover margin. Another thing, Purdue doesn't hold the ball for very long. Indiana is second in all of D1 football in time of possession. Purdue is 126th and second to last in the Big Ten. So it feels like going to be one of those games where Indiana runs the football a whole lot and possesses the ball for a whole lot of time.
Oliver, I want to ask something about the Purdue offense comparatively with Indiana's defense. You know, lost Devin Mockabee way earlier in the season. Ryan Brown struggled at times. I mean, how are they going to fare against a defensive front, a front 7 that has just feasted and wreaked havoc on opponents this year?
If Purdue's going to have success in the game, I just think they have to not play scared. They have to show enough sort of play action, deep shots. That's something they've really lacked a lot this season, and that's kind of how they've gotten into trouble on those turnovers. If they're able to throw the ball down the field, and we've seen some busts, some coverages at times. So if they can get a couple of those, mix in the run, and not be afraid, play physical, and try to avoid turning the ball over. If they can do those sorts of things and just play solid football, I think they might have some better success than they did last year.
Oliver, I want to, for our last question, just kind of basically flip the question Joe asked, talk a bit about the Purdue defense. Gone against some of the best offenses in the Big Ten. Obviously, think of Ohio State. In the country as well, think of Notre Dame. What do you think this team could have potentially learned and taken from, weakness, trying to build on it and just make one area of that defense a little more solid for the Hoosiers?
I think they've shown that at times they can match up physically with teams. Saw it firsthand against Michigan. They pushed Michigan around, plain and simple. And I know Michigan isn't as good and as physical as they have been in recent times. They're still a good football team. Against Ohio State, Ohio State couldn't run the ball against them. They beat them with their 2 great wideouts, Cardinal Tate and Jeremiah Smith. So I think they have to lean on the fact that they can be physical. This is a team that the new head coach has brought in that has been the biggest increase from last season is them being physical. So if Indiana doesn't bring their physicality in this game, Purdue isn't going to lie down. This is a team that has stayed along with a lot of these really good teams.
Big Ten championship implications are on the line with this one. Obviously, if Indiana wins, they punch their ticket. Oliver, thank you so much for breaking down.
I have one thing I want to share with you guys. I did a little statistical digging on Fernando Mendoza. The weather in this game is predicted to be about 28 degrees on kickoff. Fernando Mendoza has played 2 games total before coming to Indiana outside of the state of California in the month of November. Both of those games not under 60 degrees at time of kickoff. So be careful with Fernando. He's never played an environment this cold. So if he struggles, something to watch out for.
That'll be interesting. A guy from Miami played at Cal for 3 years, how he just adjusts to some of the weather things. But Oliver, thank you so much for previewing the Purdue Boilermakers. We are going to step aside for a second. We'll be back talking some big picture stuff around the Big Ten with the Big Ten championship implications and then the grand scheme of college football as the latest rankings come out this evening. So we'll be back in just a few moments.
When the final buzzer sounds in Bloomington, the conversation starts here. The Assembly Call is IU basketball. Live post-game shows, smart midweek breakdowns, and no empty hot takes. Jared Morris, Coach Brian Tonsoni, Andy Bottoms, and Ryan Phillips dissect lineups, sets, and recruiting so you know what really happened and what it means for the Big Ten season, March, and beyond. Join the live chat on YouTube, then catch the podcast on Spotify and Apple. Just search Assembly Call and be part of Hoosier Nation's most trusted post-game tradition.
Welcome back into Crimson Kickoff. We're segueing a little bit, bringing on Grace Jeffer and Brooks White, because Brooks is doing some very interesting things this week as far as being a college football viewer and just how much this weekend matters for the Big Ten Championship. So I'll let you guys start to take it away about how this weekend kind of aligns for how the Big Ten Championship in Indy week and a half from now is going to shape up. So I'll let you take it away, Grace.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show too. A little different this week, obviously online, but all right, I have some questions for you, Brooks. So it's rivalry week. You're hitting two huge games this weekend. First stop, we've got Indiana versus Purdue in West Lafayette, and then you're going to Ann Arbor to the Big House for Ohio State, Michigan, the game. Can you tell me a little bit about when you decided that you were going to go to both of these games? How long has this been in the books for you?
Well, I knew I was going to Ann Arbor for over around 2 years. I knew after the last 2023 game we were going to go. Family friends have season tickets. They knew they weren't going to go. So we're going to go. My entire family from Columbus, huge Ohio State fans. I grew up an Ohio State fan, but I'm just excited. This is the biggest rivalry in all of college football. I'd be willing to say all of sports. These two teams don't like each other. I love this game. I have it circled on my calendar every single year. It's the biggest day of this week for sure, maybe even the month for me, the entire college football season, I'll even say. I love this game so much, and this is just great college football across the board, and even better that there's high stakes for this game.
Yeah, definitely. So what do these matchups mean to you personally as a college football fan? I know you said, from Columbus, your family, just huge Ohio State fans, but can you get a little bit more into that?
Yeah, I think just the rivalry in and of itself, these two teams, they've been playing for a long, long time. They don't like each other. Ohio State plays for gold pants. If you win the game, you get gold pants. They have not won in 4 years. This rivalry means a lot, especially for the coaching staff at Ohio State. Ryan Day, he hasn't won since 2019, and that wasn't really even his team. The whole Ryan Day's on third base idea, where he inherited Urban Meyer's team. I think that's going to be interesting to see how he responds, especially after last year's 13-10 loss. It'll be very interesting. And for the Hoosiers, it's going to be fun to see how they respond out of the bye. Obviously, Purdue isn't one of the best teams in the Big Ten, but this is still a rivalry game. You see it all the time in college football. Rivals playing other teams, even if they're outmatched, very, very close. I think throughout the entire weekend of college football, you can see some very close games between teams that really shouldn't have close games. And that's just because it's rivalry week. It's hate and it's good college football at the end of the season.
Right, definitely. How do you anticipate the difference in the energy in West Lafayette and Ann Arbor? Obviously, they're both rivals, but they're different rivals in a sense. You've got the in-state, you got out-of-state, the game. What do you think is going to be the biggest difference in that energy there?
Well, I think the venue is obviously one of the biggest differences. Ross-Ade Stadium, I've been, again, Mike said it earlier, it's a bit of a gloomy area, West Lafayette. It's not obviously the home field advantage that the Big House is. The Big House is one of the best stadiums I've ever been to. When you walk in, it's just straight down. You're looking at the field. It's loud in there. It's a fun environment. I went in 2021, and again, I'm just so excited to go back, see the new environment. I'm sitting closer to the field this time, which will be super fun. And the home field advantage that Michigan gets compared to Purdue in the Big House is going to be noticeable. as well as, these are very different teams between, Michigan and Purdue. I think the Wolverines, obviously, they're playing for a lot more right now and against a lot, bigger rivalry in the game. I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday.
Right. I got a couple more.
Oh, yeah. Keep firing.
I've just got a couple more for you. I was going to say, you talked about being at the game in 2021. We were actually there at the same time, little did we know, but I think we had a little bit different experience. I was storming the field, and looks like you might have been storming home. So does attending both games mean, what is the difference between attending it in person? What do you not get by watching it on TV? What's something that you just take away that you absolutely cannot understand if you're watching from behind that screen?
Well, it's 100% the fan interactions. I've been to the 2021 version of the game and 2022. So home and away, both in Columbus and Ann Arbor, it's the fan interaction. These two sets of fans don't like each other. The teams don't like each other. A lot of chirping. I got spit on by a Michigan fan when I was there in 2021. And again, I guess it's part of the rivalry, but these two fan bases do not like each other. And I think that's one of the best parts of the rivalry, the game.
Yes. All right. So I'm going a little bit more national here. How do you expect the final result of that Michigan-Ohio State game to influence the overall playoff picture?
Well, I think it really affects next week more than anything. If Ohio State is to win, most likely it'd be a matchup like we've been anticipating all year with the Hoosiers again, which would be incredible, 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten Conference Championship game in Indianapolis. That would be total scenes. If the Wolverines are to upset the Buckeyes, that can create a ton of different scenarios for the Big Ten Championship. The Wolverines could find their way into the championship game because they only have the 1 loss in conference to USC, as well as Oregon could also sneak in if they beat Washington on the road this weekend. So a lot of different scenarios, but both of these games, Ohio State and Indiana, they control their own destiny. If they win these games, setting up for a 1 versus 2 matchup in Indianapolis, which would be obviously one of the most polarizing games in all of college football.
I think that's very well said. Thank you so much.
Grace, Brooks, thank you guys. I want to intro my dog real quick. I know we're all kind of doing that. Here's Desi. I'm going to give him a Cheez-It just before we go. I know at some point all of us are going to show off our dogs for a second. But I think with the game, 100,000 strong, it's going to be an electric atmosphere out in Ann Arbor. And especially setting up a Big Ten championship, a potential with Indiana, Ohio State, a 1 versus 2 in Indy. I imagine the fan atmosphere for that is going to be crazy. And then on the topic of fans, I mean, Memorial Stadium in a span of 2 years went from a place that was at 40, 50% capacity to sold out for the entirety of the Big Ten slate. And Mary Kate Sullivan, she'll be joining here in a second. She did an awesome story about the fan growth, the buy-in, especially from the students on the Indiana fandom. So let's just take a look at that. And then Grace, Lesher, and Mary Kate will be joining the show here in just a few minutes.
This wasn't just another Saturday in Bloomington. From the moment the tailgates opened, you could feel that something was different. Crowds pouring in early, music blasting, and fans packing Memorial Stadium in a way that used to feel impossible. For so long, IU football didn't have days like this. The stadium rarely filled, the energy was flat, and fans were used to leaving disappointed. But seeing a sold-out Memorial Stadium, that tells you everything about how this fan base has changed.
Oh my gosh. We have been coming to these games for so many years and seeing the stands empty, partially empty, and it's so fun now to see them packed to the gills. We love it. We love it. We tailgate every home game.
Throughout this season, the shirtless section has been one of the most energetic groups inside Memorial Stadium. And once again, it did not disappoint.
I don't know, Hoosier fandom has been really electric this year. We're not a football school, we're not a basketball school, we're a sports school.
Fans aren't just showing up, they are invested. And for a program working to build something new, this type of support truly matters.
I love our fans. I know where we started and where we are now, and they are over the top. and I can't say enough good things about them, and we feed off of their energy. I really think that us playing at home is at least a 14-point advantage.
One thing is clear, IU football fans are bought in this season. Today showed how much this fandom has grown over the past 2 years and how much it means to the program. If this momentum keeps building, it will be a bright future for IU football. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Mary Kate Sullivan.
Thank you so much, MK, for putting that together. How much fun was that? Final home game of the year. The weather was great. You're just running around up into the shirtless section, talking to everyone screaming around, waving their shirts and everything.
It was so much fun. Grace and I had a blast, and being able to talk to such a variety of different fans, it was so cool to see different perspectives from the older generation to the freshmen who don't know a team that's lost.
Grace, you were also helping out. I mean, what was some of the challenges of putting something together like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun. I was behind the camera for all those fan interviews, and we knew we needed to go up in the shirtless section because that's kind of become a thing this season. So it was really fun, but it was really, I had a good time talking to the students. At one point, right before halftime, we went and stood right outside the student section and got to talk to some students. And the ones that were the most fun to talk to were the juniors and seniors who were my freshman, sophomore year, it really wasn't anything like this at all. And it's just so fun to see how it's changed and what it's become.
On that topic, for both you, MK, you're a junior. So did you go to many games your freshman year when, it was the 3-9 final Tom Allen year?
I would go to games for maybe half a quarter and take a picture, show my dad that I'm there, and then leave.
Then the flip, obviously, these last 2 years, winning helps, doesn't it?
Yes, no, it helps 100%. And the games are just so much more fun when you have the stands packed.
And then for Grace, you're a sophomore. You've been kind of spoiled watching 15 straight wins at home.
Yeah.
When, a lot of us were
What I will say, I grew up an Indiana fan.
Okay.
Both my parents went to IU. So, I've seen it through them, all the losing seasons. So I'm not taking it for granted that I haven't lost a home game as a student at IU. But it's been pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that streak stays alive. It's right now the longest in the country. Alabama lost a couple weeks ago at home, but when you see someone like Cignetti, does something sustainable? Is that in the realm of possibility that this home streak just continues to stay alive into 2026?
I mean, I can go first. I think so. And I think Cignetti has created a culture and a team that's something that's really fun for the fans to rally around, and you have fans of all different ages just coming together, all united under Indiana football, something they're super excited about. So it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and something I feel like he did a good job last year was engaging with the students. The emails he sent out, homework can wait. Last year he had to do a lot of engaging with students, but right now I feel like there's so much the football is doing the talking and bringing the fans. So I feel with that continuing, the fans are going to stay bought in.
Really last one about the fans, but it's more with the props, the towels. You like it? You don't like it? I mean, I think it looks really cool when it's sold out, like the Illinois game when everyone's just waving it during kickoff, the run out. That looks so cool in my opinion. I'm curious what other people think about the towels.
I love it. I think it's so fun. And then being able to see what is that game's print on it, the fact that they're different each game makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like the fans have had a really fun time just let's get into the stadium and see what the towel is today, and got to get in early so I can make sure to get one, and it makes it a really fun atmosphere and environment when they're all waving them up in the air.
We were able to leak the towels a couple times on our show as well when we were there early, but we're going to step away again just for a brief moment, and I'll bring Graham and Thomas back on. We're going to break down their CFP predictions heading into the final week of the regular season. This is going to be a fun one, a fun week of college football. So we'll step aside just for a brief moment and be right back. Grace, MK, thank you so much.
Your Nation. Are you tired of the same old takes? Say hello to Crimson Cast. Hosted by Galen Clavio and Scott Caulfield, they serve up sharp analysis, real talk, and just enough sarcasm to keep things interesting. Game previews? Check. Instant reactions? Double check. History lessons that make even our losses worth remembering? You bet. So whether you're tailgating at Memorial Stadium, pacing around Assembly Hall, or just avoiding Purdue fans, Crimson Cast has you covered. Search Crimson Cast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and join the conversation today.
Let's talk CFP. It's important, right? I mean, that's what 12 teams are eyeing their destiny, and even some more with some of that shakeup of the 10 through 15 range. Graham, Thomas, welcome back in. I'm sorry I had to kick you off for a second. It's nothing personal, I promise. But this is a very... When Galen's here, executive director making his first appearance. Occasionally you've heard him in the background laughing or cheering or something. But Galen's here, a CFP czar, as he likes to self-proclaim.
I've never once called myself the CFP czar.
Well, this is an important week. Obviously, Indiana playing Purdue, rivalry weekend. I mean, everything kind of matters for this one. So, Graham, I'll ask you this first. When you see, we haven't even seen the current rankings come out, but where do you think some teams are going to be shaking up after this last week of college football? And I mean, Oklahoma looks like a team that is pretty much in.
Yeah, I've got Oklahoma in my 12, Joe. I've also got Georgia at my 2. I think the Bulldogs are on a roll. I know we've said the whole innocent until proven guilty. Oh, if they keep winning, hard to say they're going to lose. But I think Texas A&M is gonna choke it in the SEC championship to those Bulldogs. I've got Georgia at 2. Ole Miss at my 5. Oregon at 6. I was hesitant there. I think Oregon, with a quality win against USC and assuming they win against Washington, could jump Ole Miss, but still got them there. Texas Tech at 7. Notre Dame up at 8. Oklahoma just behind. And then Alabama and SMU at 11. SMU just demolished the Louisville Cardinals this past weekend. And then North Texas as my 12 seed. Took a bit of thinking, but overall happy with how this list shook out. My one thing I'm still looking at is Ole Miss, Oregon, but I do think Georgia's going to take the 2 spot.
I'm sure there'll be some questions. And again, this is predictive based. So Thomas, I'll let you throw up what you think post championship weekend, what your rankings will be like.
Yeah, well, for the first time in a long time, me and Graham actually have some sort of continuity in our ranking. They actually look relatively similar. A little bit of difference, though. I actually have Georgia losing in the SEC title game to A&M, which makes A&M my 2. Obviously, Ohio State. I have them taking over Indiana in the Big Ten title game. So that's my first 4. The more and more I watch Texas Tech, the more impressed I am each week. I think they win the Big 12, and I think they're a team that nobody's going to want to play in the playoff. Oregon, I think it's 6. Not the best win, but got it done against USC. A tough Washington team this week. They'll have to get that done. Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl this week. They might be playing this playoff without a coach. We'll see. Oklahoma, I've been incredibly impressed with them. Coming back from the Mateer injury, when he went down and they had some of those losses, it looked like their season might have been over. But that defense has just carried them. Notre Dame continues to look strong. Jeremiah Love is asserting himself as one of the best in the country. Bama stays in it for me. I have Virginia surviving in the ACC, and then I have North Texas getting it done as well.
Galen, I know we don't have a bracket ready for you, but from what you see of Graham and Thomas's, do you have one preloaded?
I didn't get a graphic. No one asked me, but I do. I'm going to do it in the classic internet style. We're going to go note.
Oh, yeah.
So there's one thing that I don't agree with both Graham and Thomas, which is that if first of all, is Alabama going to lose to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, guys? If they aren't,
I don't think so.
If they aren't, then they're going to be in the SEC title game, and one of 2 things happens: they either lose to A&M, or they beat A&M. If they beat A&M, A&M's dropping down from the 2nd spot or the 3rd spot or wherever you've got them. If Alabama loses that game, I don't think they're getting in, period, because they'd have 3 losses. Like, who's going to put a 3-loss Alabama team that loses in the SEC title game in when they've already got a loss to Florida State, which is the worst loss of any of the teams that would be in the CFP?
But with that, how much we've seen it in years past that the title game doesn't hold a ton of weight.
Okay, but that's in circumstances where the team would have been there regardless of the outcome. I'll note last year, if Clemson had lost to SMU in the ACC title game, they would not have been in the playoff. They won and they were ranked 16th. They ended up being the 12th seed last year. So I think I don't blame anybody for feeling that way, but I think it actually misses what is actually going to go on. how would you justify putting Alabama in with 3 losses, even though they've got a lot of good wins, with the loss that they have to Florida State, and keeping out a BYU team whose only 2 losses in this scenario would be to Texas Tech, who's a seeded bide team within the field. So anyway, my feeling is, okay, I'll give Ohio State the matchup in Indy. That's not the most important one that those 2 teams will ultimately play. A&M wins the SEC. They're second. They should have an asterisk by them. I apologize for that. Indiana, third. I don't see them falling below that. And then Texas Tech getting the 4th seed, I think, to make everybody feel better about 3 different conference champions getting by. Then Georgia, 5th, because Georgia will not play in the SEC title game unless Alabama loses to Auburn. Oregon moves ahead of Ole Miss. They already did it in the AP poll this week. Then Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. BYU gets the last spot over Vanderbilt. And then SMU wins the ACC, and North Texas gets the G5 spot. So that's how I'm seeing it right now, guys.
How locked in with Oklahoma only having a home game against LSU? Are they pretty locked in considering everything happening around LSU this season? Losing Brian Kelly. Yes, free my boy BK, but he's gone.
I mean, LSU's offense is basically non-functional right now. I don't know how Graham and Thomas feel about this, but if Oklahoma's offense looked real bad against Mizzou, and yet they're going up against a team that's got a worse offense than Mizzou in this next game. So I think they're in pretty good shape, but there's several teams that could stub their toe. I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion Ole Miss is going to go win the Egg Bowl. It's not a foregone conclusion that Oregon's going to go win at Washington. It's not a foregone conclusion that Oklahoma won't, stub their toe in their last game. There's a lot of things that could happen. It's hard to predict all of this stuff, but that's what makes rivalry week so much fun.
My question for really everyone is about the Big 12 too, because can a neutral site game make things interesting for a BYU, for potentially Utah if they find their way into that game against Texas Tech? Because obviously Tech was able to kind of wax BYU in Lubbock, but you centralize that, you take it away from their home stadium. Does that give BYU maybe an edge of competition? Maybe not like an edge over Texas Tech, but evens the playing field more where BYU could punch their ticket. And where would that shake things up?
Texas Tech's defense is just so impressive to me. And BYU's had a good season, but Bear Bachmeier is a freshman. I struggle to see a circumstance, no matter where the game is, where BYU is able to really overtake that offense against Texas Tech's defense. Texas Tech has a linebacker who is in the Heisman conversation.
It's going to be a very interesting end of the year, especially with Tulane being ranked as well, which the American Championship right now trending towards a Tulane, North Texas. And Thomas, I know you've been very high on North Texas. I think all 3 of you had North Texas as your group of 5 team, projecting to play either a Georgia, an Oregon, whoever it might be. I know it's the group of 5 guys, and last year Boise State, was one of the better ones with the Heisman runner-up in Ashton Genty. But does Tulane really stand any chance on the road at a Georgia, at any of those places to, make some noise?
Well, for me, it comes down to their defense. Their defense really, really is not good. But then you look at their offense, and they're towards the top of the country in touchdown scored. Drew Messamaker is just a gunslinger. So the only chance that they have in that game is to put up a lot of points with the knowledge that, they're going to give up a lot of points. I mean, the only circumstance in which I see is if they're somehow able to break the game open and, win a game 45-42. If the game is under 20 points for each team, I just don't see any circumstance in which they're able to be the team that comes out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love what the group of 5 team does and, giving a smaller team a shot. But in my mind, I've always thought football is very different than a sport like basketball, where in the NCAA tournament, you can see a 12 seed beat a 1 seed or something crazy. And I just don't really feel necessarily the same way about football. I think it can happen, but I think playing at a Georgia, as a North Texas team, that alone is daunting enough, but then you add in the fact that Georgia just has those guys that are bigger in the trenches. You've got those guys that it's not necessarily a talent difference. It's just a physicality difference. It's what we saw last year when Indiana traveled to Ohio State. People were just like, oh, the guys in the trenches were just bigger for the Buckeyes. And so I think for me, that's kind of what it comes down to. It's going to take, like Thomas said, just getting really hot and scoring 1 million points in my mind for this to happen.
Which they can do. They, according to S&P Plus, have the #1 offense in the country in terms of efficiency. I mean, and they have been absolutely stellar here recently, just racking up points after points after points. I mean, you go back and look at their last 5 games, they've scored 55, 54, 31, 53, and 56. And that, when Indiana has done that, we've been like, that's an amazing offense. I think we need to give North Texas the same level of credit. But I think Graham ultimately is right in that the physicality leap there is so huge. Georgia's probably the exact wrong team to play. I think if they were going up against, say, an Oklahoma or even a Texas Tech, there's some possibilities there. As good as those defenses tend to be, all you need is like 3 touchdowns in a game like that and maybe a couple of turnovers by the opposition. Maybe things turn differently. But it does feel as if there will be a G5 team at some point that will pull a huge upset like that. I don't think any of the G5 teams in the mix right now, which really kind of comes down to North Texas, Tulane, and James Madison. I don't know that any of them will have quite the juice to take down whoever the 5 seed is.
Yeah, James Madison making the playoffs. What a story that would be after just a couple years ago. Maybe they're secretly a group of 5 wagon. I guess we'll wrap our grand scheme college football playoff talk just because of the fact that the rankings do come out tonight, which there will be some shakeup, I imagine. Probably a consistent, 3 teams right there with the Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M still being the last remaining unbeatens in college football. Really last thing on Indiana, just to talk for the 4 of us here. With the Hoosiers, they have the chance to again make history. It's just what this team does under Cignetti. They're eyeing their first 12-0 start ever, looking to win back-to-back Old Oak and Bucket games, and also with a win, punching their first ever ticket to the Big Ten championship game. Galen, I'll start with you. You've been, around IU football for a lot longer than us. Just what has this season meant, and what does a moment like leading up into this Old Oak and Bucket game kind of mean for you specifically and just around the program?
The season's been incredible. Like last year's season was incredible, but it really just felt like, to quote my podcast partner, Scott Caulfield, it felt like a fever dream. It was just one of those things that you couldn't come to the reality that it was actually happening around you. This season's been different. The fact that they came out and smashed Illinois and then won at Iowa and then won at Oregon and then, won at Penn State. I mean, those are things that elite programs do. And that's been, I think, the biggest thing to get your head wrapped around as a longtime IU fan is Indiana's outdoing these things. And this isn't a cute story. Like Vanderbilt this year kind of feels like a cute story. I'm really happy for, and I mean that in the most positive way I can. Like it's happy to see Vanderbilt winning like that. I'd feel the same way about Wake Forest. I'd feel the same way about some of the other downtrodden teams like Indiana historically. But Indiana's playing like an elite squad, a team that measures up game after game and execution-wise as well as anybody in the country. The Purdue game's a little bit concerning because I've seen so many bucket games where there appeared to be a clear talent or ability disparity between the 2 teams, and then the team you didn't expect to do anything made it really hard. But I also have a lot of faith in this coaching staff and these players that they're focused and they're really taking it one game at a time. I've gotten voodoo mind tricked into acting that way as a fan. Like I can't even think about the Big Ten championship game at this point because I'm too focused on just winning the bucket game. So I don't know if that answers your question, Joe, but that's how I'm feeling at this point.
That's pretty perfect. I mean, just trying to wrap your head around really the way the last 2 years have operated after so much, not even mediocrity, just below that, like just poor football that was being played. I guess before we wrap into our last block for Graham and Thomas, just, punching the ticket. It's just what Thomas mentioned a couple weeks ago, just being able to sit back and be like, wow, this team is not just good. They are dominant. They are among, like Galen said, the elite in college football.
Yeah, I think that's I'm going to be a little different from Galen on this one. My mind has kind of already gone a little bit past the Purdue game in a way. I think that the coaching staff and the players are so good on a normal term of time, but you had a bye week on top of that. I think this team's going to come out and take care of Purdue very quickly, and then the conversation becomes what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks at Lucas Oil.
I agree with Thomas and Galen. I agree with Thomas that I think Indiana will get it done. I also agree with Galen on not projecting, not looking too far ahead. If anything, though, that might be because I'm not sure Ohio State can get it done at Michigan. So I'm not sure. We're not sure what the matchup is going to be in Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. But I do also think that, it's sports. Anything can happen in these games, especially a rivalry game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That these players get pumped up. It's a little bit different, I think, for some of the transfers, because they come in, they didn't grow up or they weren't built into this rivalry. So they've got to kind of find some motivation from teammates or some external motivation. Right. Exactly. But we all know the clip of Fernando Mendoza after the Axe game against Stanford last season and how fired up he was. I don't think it's going to be hard for this team to find that motivation, despite the number of transfers who maybe weren't looking forward to this game as much as people who have been Indiana or Purdue fans for a long time.
And there still are a handful of guys in the mix, like a Carter Smith, Omar Cooper Jr. Even Lewis Moore was at IU for quite a while before going to Ole Miss last year. So there is some of the people that understand the history behind it have tasted the defeat. Lewis Moore has not won an Oaken Bucket game in quite some time, so that could be a special moment for him at least. So before we go, we're actually going to do something way different than score predictions. Anything. Thanksgiving's coming up. And in honor of Thanksgiving, we are going to bring every member that is a part of our show that is here or did not have their wisdom teeth taken out to pull our favorite Thanksgiving food, show off their dogs, their little puppers. I showed mine off earlier, and now he's sitting under the bed, so he's kind of gone for the time being. So welcome in, everyone. We got the 9 box. I don't even know what the word for that is. There's the hecta, octa, septa 7. I'm not sure what 9 is. But anyways.
Not a box.
The what? Not a box. We're doing the not a box here. And I don't know who wants to take it away to first introduce their dog and then also at the same time, favorite Thanksgiving food. Graham, you're dogless, so.
Let's that hurts, dude. That hurts. I am dogless. I do have a photo of said dog, however, so I'll just put up the photo. I did a second ago. This is Kipling. As in, you can take it a couple different ways with Kipling.
This looks like your dog got kidnapped, Graham, and you're asking to return it.
Lost dog. Call this.
Yeah,
number.
Lost dog. Please call this number. Dial. No, I'm not going to read out my number. I'm in Indiana. Dog is in Kentucky, so that's why there's no dog for me. Favorite Thanksgiving food? It's not even much of a thought. I'm going straight for the stuffing.
Stuffing 1. I don't know who's keeping track.
I'll write it down for us.
Write it down. All right, stuffing 1. Graham, thank you for your dog. Who's next? Grace, Jay. What's dog and food?
All right, so this is Fendi. She's my one-eyed, obese, long-haired Chihuahua, and she definitely probably likes the Thanksgiving food too. She's got some junk in the trunk here.
Wow.
Okay, so favorite Thanksgiving, I've gotta say we're gonna go with the cranberry sauce. Low key.
That might be a sleeper pick. Or that might be a
My
hot
mom
take
doesn't
for
mess
Thanksgiving.
around when it comes to the cranberry sauce. And if I'm not gonna go with that, then I'm gonna go mashed potatoes. One of the
All right,
two.
we're doing 1 cranberry sauce. Out of left.
All right, I can go ahead and go before Peyton starts barking at the mailman. This is my dog Peyton. You can tell she's a little on edge. I think the mailman's coming by. She's going to start losing it here. And I thought about this for a while. I think I'm a fan of a lot of Thanksgiving dishes, except for green bean casserole. But I think what I'm just going to go with as a whole is gravy. It doesn't matter what it's on. It just goes. I kind of layer the plate with gravy and then put everything on. So I'm just going to go gravy.
Gravy. All right. Who's next? Someone's got to step up. Oliver, you go.
All
Oliver, you
righty,
go.
guys. This is the wonderful Finn Carr. He's much smaller. He's a pug, much smaller than most pugs. A little bit of a preemie action here. As for my favorite Thanksgiving food, it's hard to say. My mom makes a lot of really, really great stuff. But I gotta mark me down for stuffing, man. Nothing beats it.
Stuffing takes a commanding lead.
Yeah, it's a special food. It's a
They might
special
blow
food.
the lead, though. You never know. The Warriors did it back in 2016. All right, Grace.
Okay, this is my dog Lucas. He has his IU basketball jersey on. Favorite Thanksgiving food, I'm gonna have to go with stuffing, but definitely witch gravy on it. Really good.
So do we go one vote? How are we doing?
I don't know.
You
Does
said
that count for
stuffing
two?
first.
Stuffing first.
I think it's
for
3-2.
sure.
I think gravy gets at
3-1.
least a half vote there.
3-1 lead. 3-1 lead.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, Brooks.
This is Scout. She's my favorite, and I
favorites.
Yeah, she's my favorite, and I am a big fan of the cranberry sauce. So 2 votes for cranberry sauce.
Wow. All right.
Out of nowhere, cranberry sauce is coming back.
Thanks,
Making a
Brooks. Thanks
comeback.
for backing me up.
MK.
Okay, so I don't have a dog, but my favorite Thanksgiving meal is ham.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
One vote.
I don't
ham.
mind the pick.
Interesting.
Thanks.
All right, Galen.
Well, we had Stuart was here earlier, but does not want to actually just lean on my lap. But one of the 2 golden retrievers in the house. I'm actually surprised. We've heard stuffing, we've heard cranberry. Everybody's just sticking to the mains or the sides. Where's the dessert, guys? Where has the dessert been? So we're gonna go with what I think is probably the best Thanksgiving pie variant. Not pumpkin, not apple, not cherry. We're going with chocolate silk, which is
Unbelievable.
Chocolate what?
Chocolate silk pie.
Chocolate
the best
silk.
Yes, you should look it up sometime.
I'm looking it up now.
It's delightful.
I thought mine was out of left field.
But
Joe,
I think,
show a photo.
do we have a photo we can call up?
I don't know if I can screen share. Here, I'll look it up on my phone. That's
Gotcha.
probably
There
a
you
better
go.
idea.
Good enough. You know, interestingly enough, we had 9 people vote. Not one person said turkey.
Yeah.
Makes you
Turkey's
sleepy,
had
man.
Turkey's had a rough decade. I don't think your generation's really down on
All
the
right.
whole turkey thing. There you
Chocolate
go.
French silk pie. Here we go. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. We have multiple pictures.
Look at that. You
That
gonna
looks-
tell me you wouldn't want to close off a Thanksgiving dinner with that, guys? Come on.
That looks nice. That looks nice.
Camera. I'm trying to get my dog. There he is. All right. This is Dez. I'm going to give him a Cheez-It. All right. Thanks for saying hi.
All right. The
Honestly,
poll
I'm
is
keeping
in.
with dessert. I'm keeping with dessert. Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
Pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. It's so good.
Okay, we have the results.
All right, Graham.
We have a 3-way tie or 4-way tie for third with gravy, ham, chocolate silk pie, and pumpkin pie. In a close second, we have cranberry sauce out of nowhere.
Oh.
Cranberry sauce gets a second place. And then first, it was always stuffing. It was always going to be stuffing to take the first place. Oh, laughed. It was, yes, that's Crimson Kickoff prefers stuffing.
Yeah, but with the cranberry sauce, I mean, we probably would have had one. Huge cranberry sauce enjoyer.
You went a little mute there, Joe.
Yeah.
We know what you did.
Ow!
Oh, it's because Thomas'
Whoa.
dog
Is that Peyton?
Yep.
It's not Fendi.
There's another dog in our driveway.
Oh boy, chaos is happening with the dogs now. Well,
Joe, might be time to wrap this up.
it might be time to wrap it up. Good call, Galen. For the entire, or pretty much entire Crimson Kickoff crew, I'd say a happy Thanksgiving one to all of you first, and then happy Thanksgiving to everyone viewing. Stay safe, enjoy time with family, eat plenty of food. Indiana plays Purdue 7:30 on NBC. Love that NBC picked up this game to watch 11-0 Indiana taking on 2-9 Purdue. It'll be a fun one. 7:30 kickoff. IU aiming that 12-0 first ever 12-0 regular season. But until then, I'm Joe Cronin saying so long. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week previewing a potential Big Ten championship.
Cooper got open and caught it. Touchdown, Indiana.
Going up the middle is Omar Cooper, and he'll walk into the end zone.
Complete at the 47. Surratt with no one to beat.